Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host 𝗏𝙭. Joining me is Col Mayank Chaubey, an ammunitions expert himself, and we have a lot more information to share with you. Misses, commissions, omissions, everything. Let's welcome Col Mayank Chaubey ji. Namaskar, sir. How are you?
Namaskar, Siji. I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir, and apologies for putting you through so much trouble. And so nice to see a Sengol behind you. Viewers, this is the Sengol with enclosure. Thank you so much, sir. And we are going to be taking pre-orders for the next shipment, and we'll be able to ship them in about 4 weeks from now. Do place your orders for that. And like I said, this thing is getting sold out before we even finish it. So thank you so much, Mayank ji. I know you are in a bit of physical pain also. So thank you once again for taking this time out. Sirji, what is there in front of the media and what's there? Viewers, you need to read a PGurus.com story that aired a few hours ago about some of the commissions and omissions of police and intelligence agencies declaring victory before they had everybody in their hand. That's one story. Also, how many people were in the car? This is something that Col Mayank Chaubey ji has an update, and because that changes the whole scenario and perspective completely. And I'm going to stop now. Col Chaubey ji, over to you.
Namaskar, Sriji, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And first of all, a big thank you for the lovely Sengol that you sent across. And it was placed on the other table, so I purposely shifted here. So it was finding a place in my drawing room on the other side in the central placement, and I could not place my camera there because of the light arrangement. So perforce I had to pick it up, and I just wanted to display a beautiful piece that I got from Sriji. Sriji, thank you so much, and pardon me for this temporary placement. And next time when we meet, it will be a permanent placement, and I'll shift my camera and align it in such a manner. So then everybody will be able to appreciate the placement. Okay, coming down to a much serious topic, and that is the recent Delhi blast. So the story does not start or end here. When I say the story does not start or end here, because it has a precursor to it. The blast has got certain chemicals, certain people sitting in the car. These people have originated from some place. The people belong to some place. The chemical has brought from some place. And the threads keep on going back. And I can trace it back till the 4th of November, when the hard disk and various material that was confiscated in Kulgam, Pulwama, and such areas in the Kashmir Valley. And the beauty was that during the seizure, the police lay hands upon the evidence that Binance was the Bitcoin which was being used for trading. So, Sriji, incidentally, I had written an article on the Pakistan-America crypto trade, and I was told that the trade is very transparent. So I said, I'm sorry, I have my own reservations, because the publication was of certain ideology. So they could not digest the fact that I was splitting the beans there. But now it is very clear that the terror is being financed by means of Bitcoins. They have got traces of Hawala transfers as well. So these are the two modes through which the money was being siphoned and being paid to these people. What they were doing is that they were having handlers sitting in Karachi and POJK. So there are call traces, and everything is, all the evidence is available with these security agencies. The only thing is that they have to piece the things together and put it across onto the table. Now we come down to the warehouse in Faridabad, which was raided and re-raided, and there were a number of warehouses which were raided in the NCR Palwal corridor. So this was not the only warehouse, and the total seizure was to the tune of 3 tons of ammonium nitrate. And 3 tons of ammonium nitrate is not a small quantity. If in case you take your mind back to the Beirut jetty blast, the explosive which was used there at the blast was again ammonium nitrate. Of course, the concentration was pretty high. So it has got a pretty high destructive value, that is for sure. But when it is combined with the appropriate fuel, the hazard is multiplied. So what happens is that I was on the move when the blast had occurred. So it occurred at 6:52 in the evening. And since then, the media was very fast. It just swarmed onto the area because the area was a pretty prominent place. It was near the Red Fort, and the police didn't waste time. The security agencies were there in a jiffy. NSG and the forensics, fire brigade, etc., they reached within no time. And I have reasons to believe that they were all prepared for this. When I say when they were prepared for this, there was a tweet by a young boy which went up in the afternoon, and he said that why is there so much of police, etc., military presence in this area? What is going on? Something is coming up. So this was an innocuous tweet which probably most of us would have missed. So this was a telltale sign that yes, the security agencies knew. And why was there so much of police presence when the Red Fort is shut on Monday? It is not open to public on a Monday. So there are many pointers and people who say that this act was meant for that place only. I am very sorry, because that means the analysis has gone somewhere where it was supposed to lead you to. You know what happens is when some incident occurs, that incident is meant to lead you to in a certain direction. And if in case you are led into that certain direction, that means you have lost your own track. So you have to maintain sanity and keep observing what is going on. And that is how you are able to decode a post-blast investigation. And that is very important. So Sriji, what happens is that, shall I go with the sequence or shall I cover the...
Please go with your narrative, sir. After you are done with your narrative, I may have a few follow-up questions, but over to you, sir.
Sure. So what happens that these people, they use the Gurgaon corridor to enter Delhi. They have a refueling somewhere in Okhla industrial area and roam around and then enter Delhi. And they enter Delhi and they go into the parking lot of Sunehri Masjid and they park their car there. The car is parked there for precisely 3 hours. It is taken out at 6:45 in the evening. These people, they go into the Sunehri Masjid. So all those who say that terror has got no religion, please see that the blast does not take place in the premises of Sunehri Masjid. The car is taken off from that place. There are 3 occupants in this car. And one of the occupants is a medical doctor by the name of Umar. He is supposed to be the bomber. I have got my notes ready with me, all collected from open source. And I'll be referring to the notes if you permit me, Sriji.
Please, go ahead.
Pretty exhaustive ones, and these are all eye-openers.
Yeah. A small request to all of you viewers to please like this video, because this is breaking news. Col Mayank Chaubey, like I said, he's an ammunition expert, because you need to understand how is it that you are getting that spark. Ammonium nitrate with what? And how did the bodies take shape after the blast? What was the shape of the blast? How did it damage the car? How did it damage the people around? All these things, Col Mayank Chaubey is going to be analyzing these things. So small request to all of you, please like this video right away, because I know this will be suppressed like hell outside of India. Sir, over to you.
Okay, Sriji. So incidentally, there are certain category of people who say that this was a suicide blast and that there was only one bomber inside the car.
No.
And you asked me a particular question that do you have the names of the bombers, occupants of the car, and I said no. So I could gather the names of the occupants of the car. So please hold your breath and listen to the names of the people. And they are Umar Khalid Dar. Umar Khalid Dar is the medical doctor. And he is the main operative. He is supposed to be the bomber. People say that he is a suicide bomber. Now, Sriji, let me be very clear. What does a suicide bomber do? The suicide bomber will not take any of his accomplices in the car. Taking alone, his masters will not allow a single soul in that car, because he is going to blow himself up.
Correct.
If the other person is there in the car, why should they waste one human life? Because the other human life can be used for another suicide bombing. So one man gone is one opportunity gone for them. That is plain logic. So people are saying that there was only one occupant and it was a suicide bomb. I am sorry. I have got reasons to believe so. And when I have reasons to believe so, I have my own sources who have told me that no, there were 3 bombers. And the second occupant of the car was Junaid Shah. Junaid Shah is Sajid Latif's cousin, and Sajid Latif has a history. His name appeared in the previous arrests. Now, this guy, he's a local facilitator, and he is the person who gets inside the car, and he was spotted when the car was about to move. So those who say that there was only one bomber, there is CCTV footage to prove that Junaid Shah was spotted near the car, entering the car. And the third bomber's name is an alias. His name is Ehsan. The identity has not been disclosed. The security agencies probably would have withheld his identity. So these are the 3 people who were the occupants of the car. So when I say that there were 3 people, I say I think there were at least 3 people.
So there is a chance that there may be one more, perhaps?
Yes. Possibility is there. I cannot rule out that possibility, but definitely there were 3 or more. One, certainly not. The car was being driven by one, and there were passengers inside the car. How many were there? That's a matter of debate, and will come to light. See, this time the security agencies were there within no time. The NSG was there, the forensics were there, the fire brigade was there, the area was sanitized, they have collected samples, everything was done. Sriji, what happens is when the Prime Minister says that if in case there is an act of terror on our land, we will not spare them. That means he means business, and Operation Sindoor was launched. This time, please make a note, he has traveled to Bhutan. And on Bhutan, Sriji, there was one thing very common. He said that the people behind this attack will not be spared. And he said that in Hindi, and then he repeated his words in English. When the Prime Minister says something in English, that means he's going to address the world. So he has told the world that the people behind the blast will not be spared. Now, people behind the blast can be, I don't know how many. But what happens is that Pakistan scrambles its air force and they are patrolling the skies. There was a car blast in Islamabad, and I just have got the news that Pakistan has put itself in a state of war. They have declared that. So this is the news which has trickled from Islamabad, that they are now preparing, and they are in a flurry of events are happening there because they know that India will not spare this time. 3rd of October 2025, the Chief of Army Staff, General 𝙒𝙬, he was visiting the western sector in Ganganagar. He gave a statement that if in case something happens, this time India will not show restraint that it showed during Operation Sindoor earlier. The geography and the history of that country will be changed. So these statements are there, and Pakistan knows very well that these statements are on record, and when the Indians speak, they mean business. So it was Asim Munir who went rhetorical, and he acted in haste when he tried to act what happened in Pulwama, in Pahalgam, Pahalgam on April 22nd. They paid a price. I say they paid a price because there is no distinction between the Pakistani army and the terrorists. That is for sure, because we have got visuals that the Pakistani army people were paying homage to the dead terrorists. So now we are sure that there is no distinction. Yes, please, Sriji, you were saying something.
Yeah, so what I wanted to do was pick up the story. See, you said that the car was parked for 3 hours in a mosque.
Yes.
And then one of the occupants was spotted getting into the car. Then the car starts moving from there. Talk to us a little bit. I mean, we are reconstructing what might have played out. To the best of your analysis, let us try and walk this thing through. What was the intended destination and why it blew up somewhere in the middle in a crowded place? Over to you, sir.
Okay. So it didn't blow up in a crowded place. What happens is that they approach a red light, and the car was moving at a very slow pace, and in the front there was a police naka. You understand what a naka is? There's a barricade.
Yeah. Yeah, barricade kind of
So,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. So the police halts the vehicle at will. They can just wave and say stop, and they will check the vehicle. Now, Sriji understands the psyche of a terrorist. He knows that he is either escaping the police or he is about to commit a crime. There are only two scenarios in this case. So, if he is trying to escape, he has walked into the police dragnet.
Yeah.
If in case he is about to commit a crime, he has got evidence of the crime which is about to be committed in his car. That is the bomb. So, in both the scenarios, he will not like to encounter the police. And the police very bravely stood in front of the car. So he knows that he is now going to get caught. And my understanding says that in that haste, his accomplices or they started assembling the bomb. When I say assembling the bomb, that means they are fixing the detonator inside the bomb. Because when such bombs are transported, the detonator is the piece which gives the initiation to the bomb. The initial detonation is given by the detonator. And you will never transport any bomb with a detonator fixed, because that becomes hazardous to you as well.
Right.
So the fixing of the detonator is done at the 11th hour. When you are ready, about to press the trigger, then you do that fixing. Now, in my understanding, what the crime scene was shown on television, there was a blast, there were fire raging all over. So when the blast took place, every person would love to believe that it was a CNG blast. But this blast did not have a signature of the CNG.
This car cannot take a CNG. Sir, this is the other thing. This car design is not allowed, doesn't have a provision for CNG. That's what I heard. Hyundai's.
It was an i20 vehicle. I think it can take a CNG cylinder in the rear. It's a hatchback, and it can have a provision of a cylinder. Yes, it can be made. And in Delhi, it was a Haryana HR26 registered car. So jugaad is possible. Even if it is not possible, the jugaad can be made possible. Okay, we give them the benefit of doubt that it had a CNG cylinder there. Okay, so even if there was a CNG blast, this blast was not of a CNG signature. The blast was something else. Now, if there is a blast in CNG, why the cars around it got fire? That raised my doubt. That if there is fire raging all around, that means there is something which is there which causes these fires. And what happens in such a scenario? You mix fuel oil with ammonium nitrate, and that causes that fire. So in my understanding, the mixture of fuel oil and ammonium nitrate was the thing that created that entire ruckus. Ammonium nitrate in itself, if it is containerized and exploded, it gives a massive explosion. But if in case you want to magnify the effect, you mix that with fuel oil and it becomes a potent explosive. It will not have that power which a normal, people say, RDX has. If RDX is a higher grade explosive, ammonium nitrate becomes a lower grade explosive. But the explosive part will always remain there. Are you getting the point? So
yes, 100%. Yeah.
So this was the intention. I again say that the intention was not to cause the blast at that place. It was an accident which happened because they probably developed cold feet and they could not manage. Believe me, Sriji, when a suicide bomber, howsoever hardened he is, howsoever well-trained he starts sweating, his face goes flush, and he has incoherent thinking when he is about to do the act, because he knows that he is about to get killed. 72 हूर मिलेंगी नहीं मिलेंगी कोई गारंटी नहीं है, बट मरना की गारंटी जरूर है. ये बटन प्रेस करेगा तो मरना जरूर है. So he knows that he's about to get killed, and there is no person on this earth who wants to willingly embrace death. Like Sam Manekshaw had once said, if somebody says that he doesn't fear death, he's either lying or he is a Gurkha. So definitely these terrorists are not Gurkhas. So His body is flush, he is pale on his face, and he is literally trembling when he is about to commit that act. So please believe it is very tough to assemble that big a piece. So what happens when you are about to become a suicide bomber? You fix everything and then you move. And then you collide that vehicle with someplace, because that thing has to be initiated. So that initiation is as a result of that collision. So colliding something becomes easier rather than sitting and pressing a button. That takes a lot of guts to do that. So what happens is that I believe that they were trying to now fix things in a jiffy, and then the thing goes off. So the intended place was not that area where it went off. They were either trying to flee. Now, there's a reason why all these things were happening at that point of time, at that place. He escapes from Faridabad. Now, every sane man, every policeman will feel that the safest place to go is towards Uttar Pradesh or towards Haryana, because Delhi will be a fortress. So what I do, I as a terrorist will go into the fortress, because that is the place where I am least expected. Everybody expects that he will either escape to UP or to Haryana. So I purposely enter Delhi because I know that it will be well protected and nobody will doubt me entering that place after everything has happened. The second reason is that I have already known that Delhi is a target. So let me give it a final try. The intention was to create mayhem somewhere in Delhi. So let me give this a final try and let me see if I can succeed or not. So these are two scenarios which compelled him to enter Delhi. And then the things that happened in this manner. Now, Sriji, there was a very interesting thing. People, they just swooned onto the social media saying that it was the handiwork of the government because elections were being held in Bihar. If you would have made
this is mostly media from Pakistan, right?
Yes. No, they were Indians also.
Oh my God.
They were Indians. Yes, they were Indians. And they were commenting that it could be an internal handiwork. And because why do blasts take place during election time? And tell me, my dear gentlemen and ladies, which is the time in India where elections are not happening? So I will just piece out how the toolkit works, CG, for the benefit of your viewers. There is a blast somewhere, and the blast is carried out during election time. You select the election time and the blast occurs. The terrorist organizations within no time stake claim that this was our handiwork. It happened in this place, Pahalgam. It happened in this place also. Now, what happens is, the moment they stake claim, people, they start questioning the intelligence capability of the nation. That our intelligence was sleeping, they didn't know what was happening. And then somebody will create a doubt that since this is election time, that is why the thing has taken place. So what have you done? You have tried to discredit two pillars of our nation. One is the Ministry of Home Affairs, and secondly, the intelligence agencies. So you discredit these two organizations when you start writing this. Now, Pakistan picks up this feed that this was an internal strife, and they blow this up, that even the Indians are saying that it was a handiwork of somebody from inside and it was a false flag operation. Why? Because even the opposition parties in India are saying that. So what have you done is, you have given fuel to the enemy, and you have not done it casually, you have done it intentionally. And when I say they have done it intentionally, I have reasons to believe so. So you have intentionally tried to pull down a democratically elected government. And I call it an act of treason. You are fighting against my country and you are strengthening the hands of my enemy. Sriji, I'm sorry, I have never sounded so harsh and rude. But today I have got reasons to do so. Because you cannot write against my country and the agencies and get away very smoothly with that. You will have to face it. And what we can do is we can air our concern and we can make people aware that this is how things are being mishandled and misquoted by so-called senior politicians and responsible political parties. The country as it is at war. Please try to understand, you have got no right to speak against this nation. जो मेरे देश का नहीं, वो मेरे किसी काम का नहीं. That is my saying. Sriji, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Col Mayank ji. One question, or actually 2 or 3 questions. First thing is that were there any policemen, because you said there was a police naka, did any policemen die, sir?
Sriji, fortunately, unfortunately, I am not aware of the names of the deceased. So I won't be able to comment on that, whether they got injured, whether they, God forbid, expired. But my prayers are with them and their families. And really, I salute various organizations. Sriji, I should name them on your channel. 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗘𝗥𝗘𝗦, who worked in Jammu and Kashmir. They gathered the information, they made the arrest, they got the information from the arrested people. They passed this information to Chandigarh IB. They passed this information to Haryana STF. Haryana STF, Chandigarh IB guiding it, and 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗘𝗙, they raid this premises of the Faridabad warehouse. Then they informed the Delhi police that such things are expected and this is happening. And of course, along with Delhi police, various other organizations also are made aware. So this time, if somebody says that there was a intelligence failure or something, then I would say, please wash your brains, because they really need an overhaul. The security agencies were there. Because of them, a major disaster was averted, because damage could have been manifold. They showed their bravery, they intercepted things, and then they could control the things. So it was not a terrorist act, please. It was an accident. The terrorist act was supposed to be there at a later stage. That is what I mean to say.
Thank you so much, sir. So one of the things, the theory that there was a lone driver goes out the window very clearly, because somebody was driving and somebody was essentially assembling the detonator. That I think that theory is completely blown out. Thank you so much for clarifying that. The third question I have is, you said that along with ammonium nitrate, a fuel was more possibly mixed. Colonel Chaubey, see, there are fire accelerants. Fire accelerants are added to the fuel to make the fuel burn brighter, faster, and with more potency. This is an angle that I'd like the investigative agency, because you can analyze there will be some drops of fuel, you can analyze it to find out if there was a fire accelerant used. Why I have this doubt, Colonel Saab, is there were 2 times attempts in Kerala to set a compartment on fire. And in both these cases, after they analyzed it, they figured out, hey, how can this one guy sitting in one window, set light the whole compartment? A lot of damage, by the way. Then they figured out that there was a fire accelerant used in addition to the fuel. So these angles have to be explored. Also, I don't know if you remember, a church in France burns down in like 15-20 seconds. Have you seen that one?
Yes, Louvre.
Yeah. So that's maybe not the Louvres, but it could be a rural church. But the thing about it is, one bicyclist. So one bicyclist is going by the side of the church, and he's just looking at it slowly. By the time he crosses, like 20 seconds, the thing has completely burnt down. So there is this angle. Your thoughts on this, sir? Is that being analyzed?
Sriji, definitely. They would be analyzing. I am a retired man, and my sensors are slightly on the lower side. But the people who are investigating are very sharp. See, what happens is, when you combine these two, now both the compounds, the fuel oil and the ammonium nitrate, both have got respective properties. And what the properties are, that the ammonium nitrate acts as an oxidizer. The fuel is the fuel oil is the fuel. which is supposed to burn. And when you containerize them and compress them and then you detonate, it becomes a explosive. So if in case burning is the intention, then containerization will not be there. Dhamaka will be there. It will be splashed all around and it will burn. So it depends what is your intention to use that for. I won't go further in this chemistry part of it. But yes, for any detonation, what happens is you have to have something which detonates. You have to have something which provides it with internal oxygen, because oxygen has to be supplied at a very rapid rate. And what happens is, the moment the explosion occurs, oxygen from the neighboring area will gush inside, because it is fuel hungry. So you feel those waves traveling very fast. Although there's a lot of chemistry behind it, let's not confuse everybody with that. Suffice to say, yet you are very correct. You said that you have a multiplier, and that multiplier is the ammonium nitrate, because the fuel oil is burning and the multiplication factor is being provided by the ammonium nitrate. Yes, please.
Wow. Much to churn and much to absorb, viewers. So as a citizen, there is not much we can do, except that if there's any suspicious object, maybe we can report them to the local authorities. I have seen Delhi, viewers. I have traveled extensively in Delhi. Delhi, like Colonel Saab says, it's actually a fortress. Especially in some sensitive areas, there is mobile patrols, as well as there are static people standing and watching things. So that how did they even get this close, Colonel Saab?
There is no reason as to why they can't get close, because it may be a possibility that they were waiting for the opportune moment to nab these culprits. So
Okay.
the police have their own scheme of things. They will
Correct.
not like
Correct.
to. Sorry. Yes, please.
Of course.
Yeah. So there's a reason why you are let loose, and then you know that, okay, this is the place where we are going to catch them. So maybe that is why, you remember, I made a mention of a youngster who tweeted, "Why so much of
Right.
military? Why so much of police here? What's going on? Something is going on." That is the reason. So the security agencies knew that something was coming, and they were all prepared for it. So I would say that a major tragedy was averted. Of course, lives were lost. Tragedy was there. Probably they gave ahuti of their lives to save many, many lives. So those who have died, they have not died in vain. They have died a very noble death, because they have saved many lives by giving their own lives. So I salute their sacrifice, and I would not hesitate in saying that they sacrificed their life because they saved many, many lives by doing so.
This also raises a bigger concern, because all the people nabbed, and also, okay, let's say all the people nabbed, these are all not uneducated people who did this thing because they were going to get some money for their parents. These are educated doctors plying their profession. Doctors should know the kind of harm this will inflict upon people who are caught halfway, right? One limb missing after the blast because the blast took away the thing. How can इतनी क्रूर भावना कहां से आती है, sir ji?
That goes into the teaching, I believe, because a doctor takes an oath that even if it is the enemy, they will save his life. I know, because served in the army, I've met the doctor. Yeah, in the army, even a army doctor of Indian Army, if he finds the enemy soldier who is injured, he will cure that soldier. Of course, then he will hand over that soldier to the armed forces, the other members of the armed forces, who will arrest him. But his duty is to save the life of that injured soldier. So if these people, having taken that oath, are entering into this arena where they are willfully killing innocent people, I think cannibals or whosoever, the dirtiest, filthiest of people, they are put to shame by these so-called educated class. So whatever punishment is given to them is minimal. I don't know what sort of treatment should they be subjected to. Imagine a person who is there to protect your life willfully takes your life. Sorry, you are not humans. And I won't call you even animals, because animals are faithful. You save an animal's life and he will always save your life. So, but then these people they are of some other breed.
Viewers, there's a last question from me before we take questions from the viewers. Colonel Saab, you mentioned Binance as being an enabler for getting the payments done using cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about this, because Binance is very closely tied with the Trump family. Viewers, there's a video that will come out. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
So let me just turn the pages, and it was 4th of November, where there were raids carried out in Kulgam, Pulwama, Shopian, and Baramulla. Okay. So 9 people were detained, and of which one was a female propagandist. She was in Baramulla. What they found was a digital ID material, OGWs, etc. Now, what they confiscated from there were multiple SIMs, mobile phones, tablets, external hard disk drives, SD cards, laptops, Telegram channel backup. So they have found a new source, Telegram, to communicate. Crypto wallet screenshots, UPI payment, and then it comes to the name of Binance. So this is the thing that was confiscated by the security agencies on 4th of November in the area where I told you. The intelligence showed that they used the term medical boys and they used the word new formula. So medical boys are the doctors who are there involved, and the new formula is the explosive that they're going to use. Generally, what happens is the terrorists have been using conventional military grade explosives, the RDX, etc. But this, they have taken a step back. They have used something which can be transported in the garb of agrochemicals.
Correct.
Because ammonium nitrate has a fertilizer history. So transporting is easy. There is no finger which can be raised. Why are you transporting this thing? Because I'm going to manufacture fertilizers. That is a very easy statement. So this is how things are transported. So yes, there are linkages. So if you give money to Pakistan, you are fueling their terrorists and they are taking Indian lives. So a message for the Americans, please desist from doing so, because indirectly you are being termed as the people.
Thank you so much, sir. Let's take a few questions now.
Sure.
This is just the beginning, viewers. There's going to be more revelations, I'm sure of it. Magnet Ranga wants to know, Namaste ji, Indian intelligence and forces doing fantastic job. Yet, why do people blame intelligence failure? What could they have done to stop this blast? My view is that they probably could not.
Yeah. There is nothing which you can do, because a person who is determined to kill himself. Now, I'm not trying to say that he was a suicide bomber at that point of time, but then he had decided that I'm transporting explosives, I'm in the car, and if something goes wrong, I might lose my life, because he would have pictured that in advance. So if a person moves with that intent, he is going to damage himself, he is going to damage the surroundings. You cannot. You remember the lone wolf in Nice in France, who rams his truck into the people who were making purchases during Christmas season. Right. So a person who has decided that he will do something, even if he is harmed, no security agency can stop such a person. So Magnet Ranga ji, you are very correct. It is impossible to save it.
Next one, please. Pia Set wants to know, some YouTube channels are taking interviews of the family of the bombers. We don't care what they say, but we know they are building a narrative to say they are innocent. Biggest joke.
Oh, yes. Somebody would come that he's a headmaster's son, if you recall that.
Yes. Burhan Wani.
Yeah. So please don't even watch those television sets, because you're giving them TRP ratings also. So please shut down the
Colonel
channel.
Saab,
Yeah.
you know what was more disgusting? After Burhan Wani, there are 2 or 3 other people also who did this. When their bodies were, I think after some time they decided not to give the body back. When their bodies were given back, the female community around that area, they did some very, what I would call, not appropriate things. I don't know if you've read that story. Viewers, you have to go back and I don't want to repeat it here. This is a decent channel. It's disgusting. The women of Kashmir, you are the mothers. You can't think about this. Why can't you think straight? Even now, I tell you, if you go and ask the Aam family in Srinagar, do you believe what happened was right? They'll say yes. The mindset has to have a serious change. And by doing all these things, by aligning with these harmful elements, you are actually hurting your own future. The thing is, you're too dumb to understand it because you have been indoctrinated in a certain way. The rise of moderate Kashmiri voice, I'm still waiting to see that, Colonel Ji. I mean, somebody who can realize कि भाई इससे हमको ज़्यादा ये problem हो रहा है. We are harming ourselves. So चलिए next question को जाते हैं. Let's go to the next question. Victor 100 wants to know, why did media speak about how we got to those doctors? We have to be like Mossad, never ever disclose our modus operandi.
Yeah. अब क्या बोले? Why did media, how to get these doctors? We certainly lack that security bent of mind and that element of nationalism. That is a pity. I think we'll learn with age and time. I can just hope so.
Those of you who read this book of mine, the new book, Operation Bhasmasur, you will see that the IB comes up at the same kind of situation. What to disclose, what to hold back. So these are all questions that they come across on a daily basis. If those of you who have bought the book and read it, you'll understand where I'm coming from. Next one, please. Milburn wants to know, so what triggered the blast to happen before the plan? I think I missed what you said.
Tension and the terrorists getting jittery.
Luxury wants to know, do you think there will be Operation Sindoor 2.0? I'm asking this because Trump will come in between, as Pak wants to attack Afghanistan for Bagram airbase, which USA wants.
Luxury, sir. There will never be Operation Sindoor 2.0 because Operation Sindoor is still continuing. So 2.0 can only happen once 1.0 terminates. 1.0 is still on. So there'll be no 2.0. We will continue with Operation Sindoor, and as the Prime Minister has hinted very, very clearly. Now, I'm saying hinted because he didn't say that we are going to do this, but he made it amply clear to the world that, friend, we are coming after them. And please don't intervene. That was probably a warning to the entire world that this time we will not show restraint. So God save that piece of land which exists on our western borders, because definitely geography is bound to change. Only time will tell when.
You know, before we go to the next question, this question, I have one observation. How many mainstream media channels picked up what Bala Gautamanji said on my channel about this guy called Salman Azari, if I remember correctly? This guy is being readied, in our opinion, as the successor to Zakir Naik, who evidently suffers from AIDS. So does his wife. Surprise, surprise, his daughter too. Nobody explains how that can happen, but it's left to us for our imagination. See, the thing here is there is the mullah who is basically the preacher. That's where you need to first fix things. I think Italy has tried doing that. I don't know how successful they are, but they have said that anybody who wants to be a mullah has to pass a certain set of criteria and requirement. India is a big country, And if you say that you can't do this thing and ban madrasas and mosques, there'll still be gatherings. You cannot go into a dense, many of them are in ghettos. You can't go into every house to see what is going on. The thing is, the mindset has to change, that it is too expensive to do this. That's the thing that has to happen. Sir, let's take the next question. Shank wants to know, is there any way to identify radicalized Muslims from the lot? There may be some normal people among them. The normal people have to speak up, sir.
Yeah. See, if in case you are keeping quiet, that means you are colluding. In Hindi, you say that Mon Rupi Ardh Sambati. So if in case you are keeping quiet, that means you are half there. The moment you open your mouth, then you have to prove yourself. So it is better to speak out rather than keep mum.
Thank you so much, sir. And that brings us to a close of today's program. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and do share this with many of your friends and relatives as possible, because Colonel Saab has brought out some new angles to this, and also shows you how difficult it is to manage all these things. And please do also read PGurus.com articles, because there are things that we put in articles that we may not be covering in videos, because it's a fast moving thing. And there are some interesting observations in the articles also, some small misses here and there. So be that as it may, always pleasure to have you, Colonel Saab. I may bother you again to bring you back in the next couple of days, because you've started a very potent thread going. Thank you so much, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, 𝗏𝗏𝗏.